Now, I must admit, I'm a little late in reviewing this controller, about 2 years late I think, but I was offered a review unit recently and I figured, who am I to resist? My Mega Drive probably sees the most action out of my retro setup, so it seemed like a good fit. Now, ages ago I reviewed the Retrobit 6-button arcade pad for Mega Drive and Genesis, and at the time I said that it was an excellent buy. If you're in the market for an authentic but inexpensive wired controller for the Mega Drive/Genesis, this is a great option. But what if you want a wireless pad? Well, that's exactly what the Retrobit 8-button arcade pad 2.4 GHz wireless aims to deliver. It offers the same experience but without the hassle of all those pesky wires. Okay, so that's not entirely true. This is not simply the same controller without a cable. It has a few additional features and it's compatible with a lot more devices than just the Mega Drive and Genesis. Also in my old review, which looks terrible by my current standards I gotta say, I covered the 8bitdo M30 2.4 GHz wireless controller. I again highly recommended it, and it's been my go-to Mega Drive controller ever since. So to make this review a little more interesting, I'm going to provide a side-by-side comparison of the Retrobit pad with the M30. Both controllers cost roughly the same amount and offer similar features, so if you were wondering which one is the right for you, stick around. First off, the Retrobit controller comes in both Mega Drive and Genesis branding. Apart from the label in the box that it comes in, they're the same in every way. And yeah, you can use the Genesis one on a Mega Drive and vice versa. Using the Mega Drive dongle, it will connect to the original Mega Drive and Genesis consoles, as well as something like the Analog SG. You also get a USB dongle in the box, which allows you to connect it to lots of devices, such as PC, Mac, the Switch, the Mega Drive Mini. I'm assuming it will work with the new Mega Drive Mini too, but I can't confirm that. The 8bitdo M30 can also connect wirelessly to other devices beyond the original Sega hardware, but you'll need to either buy the USB dongle separately or get the bundle that includes it, and this increases the price quite a bit. It will connect using a USB cable though, so if you don't mind giving up wireless, you can use it with PC and Mac. The box that the Retrobit comes in is pretty fancy. I originally thought it was overkill, but after using this controller for a while, I realized that it's actually nice to have somewhere to put it in when you're done. It's also a convenient place to keep your dongle. I don't know about you, but I have a ton of these things lying around, and losing them or getting them mixed up is a big problem. So I like knowing that my dongles are safe and organized. I feel like there's a joke in there somewhere. Okay, so let's get technical for a minute. Battery life is very similar across both controllers, with the M30 having a slight edge at 35 hours. Both have a sleep mode which will automatically turn the controller off to save power. The Retrobit gives you about 9 meters of range, which is way more than you'd ever need. I couldn't find an official range spec for the M30, but given it's the same wireless tech, it's probably about the same. Both controllers have the standard 6-button layout, a start button, as well as 2 shoulder buttons, a home button, and a select/mode button. The M30 also has a star button, which is used for the turbo function. The Retrobit has neither this button nor a turbo feature, so if you want turbo, the choice here is obvious. The shoulder buttons don't do anything when using the Retrobit with original hardware. They only work when used with certain USB devices like the Switch. With the M30, these buttons are mapped to Z and C. Just like the wired version of this controller, this is an officially licensed product and its shape is very similar to an original pad. If the official controller's design and layout are your preference, then this is the way to go. Personally, I've been won over by the seductive curves of the M30. It's one of the most comfortable controllers I own, but there's no denying how authentic the Retrobit feels. I'm having a hard time deciding which one I like best. I think the M30 is the more comfortable out of the two, but it's not like the Retrobit feels unnatural. The buttons on both pads feel responsive and snappy, and I think they're so similar that pointing out any differences would just be splitting hairs, so I'm not going to. One area I think is different and worth talking about is the D-pad. If you're wondering if the D-pad on the Retrobit is the same one found on the wired version, then you'll be happy to know that they've fixed the issue where you could press the entire D-pad down. There's now a pronounced pivot point in the center, and it can't be pushed straight down. The M30 on the other hand can be pressed straight down. It's worth noting that my M30 is about 2 years old, so it's possible that this isn't an issue in later revisions of this controller, but I figured it was worth mentioning. As a result, the D-pad on the Retrobit just feels a little bit more precise, and for games that require half circle, quarter circle, and back forward inputs such as fighting games, the Retrobit is the clear winner in my opinion. Now, because it has a battery, the Retrobit is a little heavier than both the wired version of this controller as well as the official pad. It's not like holding a block of cement though. At 109 grams it's still light. The M30 is almost exactly the same, just a fraction heavier. So, will I be using the Retrobit as my new go-to Mega Drive controller? Yeah, maybe. It certainly will be the one that I reach for when playing fighting games. The Retrobit also has the edge when talking about device compatibility, and it's the more authentic from a design standpoint. The case that it comes with is a nice added bonus too. There's still a solid argument for choosing the 8bitdo M30 though. It has a slightly bigger battery, it has a turbo function, and is arguably the more comfortable. Overall, they're both great controllers. There's very little separating them in terms of price, so deciding which one is the right one for you will really just come down to the types of games you play and what systems you want to use it with. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, drop me a like. If it wasn't, you can drop me a dislike. To stay up to date with all my content, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification too. If you want to support what I do, you can check out the Patreon. But otherwise, thanks for your time.